So, due to a user request, I'm just showing you a quick run-up of my blueberry scene. I was buying the blueberries from 3D Sky, and you can see it here. And I'm just loading them into the scene here. We have them down here. They're already coming with the proper textures, so I'm selecting all of them, going into the Groups tab, apply a new group. We're giving it the name Blueberries. So we add them to the selection here. I've also modeled a cylinder, this one here. We're adding this one here to the schematic as well. We're adding all of them as well, just in case of. For the cylinder, we're just going into the where is it? The setup toolbar here. By the way, we don't need the blueberries here anymore visible in the viewport. We're just going to the setup tab, and when here it comes to dynamics, we're going to say this one is static. Going in here into this static tab, you can see here it's set to multi-hull. We're going to set this to mesh. Since it's a pretty small scene, the blueberries are pretty small. The default dynamics values might not apply here, so the margin width of 4 centimeters is way too big. I'm going to set this to 1 millimeter. You can even lower it down later. Let's 200 micrometers, something like that. So we're adding here a dynamic replicator. We're putting this in here as well. For the prototypes, we take the blueberry group that we had. We already have a solver here, like this here. Drag this one here, the dynamic replicator, into the dynamic solver as well. The dynamic replicator has the same values. We're going, for the sake of performance, we're going to set this to sphere for the blueberries. They are not perfectly spheres, but we for our scenario, this doesn't really matter. So we're going to set this one here as well. The next thing we're going to need is a particles emitter, a radial emitter. It sits in the scene. We'll just let it point downwards. We just narrow the angle, the cone angle of, let's say, 5%. So we just want to have them inside here. If you press play here, you can see that the particles are falling into the cylinder. So these particles here that are coming out from here, they are going to be the let's take a look here. Let's just make it a little bit bigger. They're just going into the simulator here. We're just adding here now a replicator. Look like this. And the replicator is going to use the points from here and the particles from here. So if you take a look here now, we can see a lot of them are falling into the cylinder. Just make them visible like this, and we can also hide this one here. You can see they're going to fill up now these the cylinder with replicators, and with just for the particle simulation, which is going in here to, let's say, 40. We're setting this one here to, where is it, radial emitter, the emission rate to 30, and 41 it's on 0. So it just stops after a certain amount of time. Just play it, we'll just play it here again. So you can see there is also wobbling around. This was the initial reason why I was setting up this scene for another user. So we just go into the solver here. Into the solver, you can see here in advanced, you can see tell the solver when it should stop calculating the simulation. We're just going in here deactivation time. We just have to play around with a little bit values, with some of the values here, like this here. You can also cage the simulation. We're just pressing here 125 frames. Now it's going to render everything through, and it's writing everything to a file on disk. Takes a little bit. Just a second. And because this time, like this, we can scrub through the scene. So you have to play around a little bit with the values there. You also have to play around with the values from the cylinder until the dynamics values in here. So if it fits, maybe the solver, upping the solver here, something like this. Taking a look at the global density, sorry, 1 here. 10 centimeters, making it a little bit smaller. Looking also already pretty good. So one of the blueberries was falling through, so you have to tweak a little bit the settings here until the simulation looks like you want to have it. You can bake it, then you can bake it, or you can leave the caged file like this. So let's take a look. Let's press play. Looking good. So this is part 1.